land actually. And he has sent me to collect you from this village to attend in his court. So these people, they lived in a small town. That small town or small village is underneath the jurisdiction of a king. That king sends them a messenger saying, you're being summoned. Right? He owns this land, he's in charge, you're his subjects, and you're being summoned. So they get onto a vessel with this messenger, this captain. He's the captain of this ship. And they get onto this ship with him, and they begin to sail towards the capital, to come to the king's court to stand before him as he has demanded of these occupants of this village. The people who live in this village, their king is saying, you must attend in front of me, for whatever reason. The captain comes and he's the one who's come to collect them, and they obey and they get on their ship. As the ship is journeying in the water, they stop for a pit stop on an island. And they get off on this island, they disembark, they get off the ship. And the captain tells them, this is not just a pit stop, the king demanded that we stop here. Because this island is known for its valuable precious stones, gems, rubies, emeralds. And we're actually assigned to stop here to collect them. This is our mission. This is why he summoned you. You have a task to do. To stop on this island, he chose you as his subjects, as your boss, as your king, to do this job. So do it. We're only here for one day. The island is full of gems, and we're only here for 24 hours before we will continue to the original destination. So immediately they separate into different groups. There's 3 main groups, and the last one's divided into 2, so you can say there's 4 main groups. The rules of the island are what? The rules of the journey. Why are they here? Why are you here? Why were these people summoned in the first place? What's the job? The king was bored? To collect jewels. He has a job for them. This island is known for its jewels. How long will they stay on the island? 24 hours. And then they will continue to the original journey. Are there any other rules? There's one other rule. The island is all free reign. Where can you look for gems? Wherever you want. What can you do on the island? Whatever you want. With one exception. This corner. The corner over there. Imagine the corner, doesn't matter. Northwest corner. That corner of the island is off limits. That's the king's special palace, his special harem, his special sanctuary. It's where he hangs out, it's where his luxuries are, it's his resort, his woman, no one's allowed to come near it. Kings had that throughout history, right? So that's the one rule. You're here for 24 hours, your job is to collect gems, and this is the one restricted area on the king's island. The rest is free for you to explore. So immediately they separate into 3 or 4 groups. The first group, they lock in. They heard this command, they're following these protocols, and they're saying, okay, 24 hours, that's not a lot of time. There's a lot of places to look. Who knows how much he wants? We have to gather as much as possible to be in good favor, to fulfill our job. So they begin to gather gems, and anytime that they get tired or they are burdened by their task, or they feel like this is too much, or it's getting hot, or they need to take a break, they remind themselves with one thing: you only have 24 hours here. So this is group, they're like-minded, they tell each other, hey man, it's just a day. They see someone put their hands on their hips and take it easy a little bit, they say, hey man, roll up your sleeves, roll up your thawb, it's only 24 hours, you got this. And that's their attitude for the whole day. The second group starts off like that. They start off go-getters. It's 24 hours, it's not a lot of time. We got to please the king, we're here for a job, life isn't a game. But then it gets a little bit hot. It's an island after all. They're on a beach. And it gets a little bit dusty. And they get tired. So they say, we'll take a break. They don't have that same energy as the first group where they push each other. They take a small break. And as we all know, what happens to small breaks? Yeah, what happens when you set your alarm for a 45-minute nap? It's a 2-hour and 45-minute nap, right? Naturally, no one knows how it happens. So that's exactly what they do. They take a break, and that break lasts the majority, if not the whole day. They worked for a few hours. Some of them worked for 2, 3, 4, 5. The sun got really hot. Dhuhr time, they said, break time till Asr. But then Asr came, and then Maghrib came, and then Isha came, and it's time to leave. That was their plan. They tried. The third group, which is divided into 2, the first half, they look around and they say, this is a pretty nice island. This is a tropical island. This island is beautiful. Look at these fruits. Did you taste these? Look at this lagoon over here. It's nice, surrounded by coral, and there's like blue crabs and stuff. This island is an eyeful. In fact, we don't think a day is enough to see it all, let alone enjoy it and try all the fruits and count all the animals. And in the midst of all this frolicking and frivolous exploration that they have, they find that it's getting hot. They're getting tired. So what do they need to do? They put a couple of things over them for shade. And a couple of people see that and they say, well, that's not enough shade for me. So they put a couple more things. And then somebody builds like a small hut to take a nap in. So somebody else tells like, that looks pretty comfortable. So he builds a nicer hut. Put little seashells on it. Little palm fronds on the entrance. Maybe a little bit fireplace in the beginning. They start thinking, how far can we go? This one has a little fruit basket inside of his to welcome guests. They go all out, right? They go all out with how fancy they want these huts to be. The other half, they watch these people doing that and they say, that is boring. I'm not going to go build a hut. There must be something more exciting to do here. And what is the most exciting place to be? Has to be the place that's forbidden. Why else would it be forbidden? Why is it off limits? What's going on here? What are we missing? What are we being forbidden from? How come the rest of the island is easy to see and this one's not? These are the questions that are plaguing them. So they start to get closer. Let's look at it from a distance. Let's look at it from a height. They get a little bit closer. They take different levels of daring and risk-taking. And some of them, they insist on standing right by it. And they hear from its noises. They smell from its scents. And they insist on breaking in. And they spend the whole day inside the haram, inside the forbidden sanctuary of the king. Isha time comes, nightfall. And the captain announces the horn is blown on the ship, everybody must go. And everybody comes right back. There's nothing else to do. There's no other option. The king is in control. This is his island. The captain is his deputy. Everyone's underneath his authority. And there's no living on this island. There's no civilization. There's no structures. There's no family. It was only a pit stop. So they all get back onto the ship. And they head to the capital. They get there after some time. When they get down now, they're all presented before the king. And they have these different welcomes. The first group, they're welcomed very graciously. Their gems are taken in and counted, and they're given the most rewards and the highest status. They're given prestige in the king's court. They did their job. They were summoned for this job, and they did it, so they are rewarded accordingly. The second group are reproached. Their good is counted, but then they're told, why did you come with this? What was the reason? What's your explanation? And what is the explanation? There is none, right? It wasn't, this was the best of our ability. We tried, but we got interrupted. There was no, we only had one hand, so I was only able to get this much. These will all be valid excuses. But their only excuse is we got tired, we got lazy. So it's not a very good welcome, but it's not that bad. They did something, but they're being reproached and they're being blamed anyway. The third group, what will they be asked? What are they going to get asked? Who's the third group? What did they do? They did what? Where are the gems? There's no gems to show for it. You have nothing to show for your job, your journey. Absolutely nothing. And then there's another question, which is what? Not just why, but where. Where is everything that you've done? The why, we know why. But where is it now? It's back on the island, isn't it? Where's your seashells and the fruit baskets and all of that? Could you produce any results from it? The answer is no, right? And then the last group has the worst, the humiliation. You had one command that was, don't do this, one prohibition. And you insisted on that only. You insisted out of all the availability of the island that Allah made available, right? Now you get the metaphor, of course, right? You got it a long time ago. It's not a mystery. You chose the one thing. You chose the one category. And that brings us to the end of this story, right? Whose story is this? It's a metaphor. It's your story. This is your story. We spoke about some stories from the hadith. We'll speak about some stories of people of the past, actual people. But today I want to speak about your story. All of you are in this story. What is the ship? No? The ship. Ship would be life, right? That could be life. It's taking you on a track. It's your time. Time passes in one direction. When the time comes, no one could say, well, I'm going to stay on the island extra 5 minutes, extra 30 seconds. Not a single moment, right? So the ship is moving, the trajectory moves. That's time. What's the island? It's the dunya, it's the worldly life. Who's the king? It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? The king of kings. Who's the captain? Captain of the ship. Me? No. I never went sailing. It's on my bucket list. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the one who's coming to tell us the purpose and take us towards the trajectory, without whom which you would be lost and you have no idea where to go or what to do. You wouldn't even know who the king is. So the metaphor is the ship is your time passing you by, sending you towards this just destination, whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not. The king is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who's summoning you, and you will follow the trajectory that He chooses. Life, death, rebirth, resurrection, judgment. No one can hack this system. No one could put a break in the middle. Let me exclude myself from this one. Let me not engage in this one. I don't want to go there. I don't want to do this. It's none of our options. The king said so, it's going to happen. The captain is his messenger who's guiding you to all this. The island is the worldly life. And you're only here for a day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that when they're asked on the day of judgment, كَمْ لَبِثْتُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ عَدَدَ سِنِينَ, how long did you spend on earth in the number of years? They're being asked on the day of judgment, how many years did you spend on earth? They will say, قَالُوا لَبِثْنَا يَوْمًا أَوْ بَعْضَ يَوْمٍ, we stayed for a day? No, a part of a day. The question was in years. They answered an afternoon. They're not being extra. They're not being dramatic. On the day of judgment, they will say, وَيَوْمَ تَقُومُ السَّاعَةُ يُقْسِمُ الْمُجْرِمُونَ مَا لَبِثُوا غَيْرَ سَاعَةٍ. And the day that the hour happens, the day of judgment, they will swear that they were only here for an hour. There's no way that was 30, 40, 60, 100, 1,000 years. It was the blink of an eye. The people who realize it now are the people who lock in. Everybody will realize it then. So they were on the dunya or in this world for only a day. It'll feel like a day or a part of a day. What are the three groups? It's easy to see, right? The righteous, the sabiqun, the forerunners, perfectionists, people of ihsan, people who Islam is not a side gig. It is not something that they do sometimes when they're free, when they have the extra energy in Ramadan, when they're with the right crowd, when they're in the right place. They eat, drink, sleep, and breathe Islam. And any time that they tire, they're easily reminded by one concept. You're only here for a day. There's so many other concepts in Islam that could remind you, but that is enough to get them moving again. This is temporary. And they lock in all the time. The second group are the people who understand all of this. They agree to all of this, like many of us. In theory, I love all of this. This is what's important. This is what matters. This is what life is all about. I would only choose a spouse based on this. I would only open up a business based on this. I would only choose a career based on this. I say all of that. But when there's a little bit of resistance, when it gets a little bit tougher, then I sit down and take a break. And that break sometimes takes to the end of the day. And then sometimes it will be to the end of my life. And I'll wake up on the day of judgment and say, oh wow, I could have, I would have, I should have. I once attended a Quran ceremony where somebody finished the Quran, and there was like 2 or 3 people who came up to him at the end and they said, I was on the way to being you 20 years ago. I knew 15 juz or 20, I knew half the Quran or 2/3, and then just now I know nothing. Now it's like, thank you. Now I know nothing. What were we talking about? I know what we're talking about. So now I'm so far behind, and it's a lifetime ago that I was that person. They still memorize, they still read Quran, they still come to masjid. They didn't say I'm kafir now. They're just saying, but it's a lifetime ago that I was someone who used to memorize, and that's it. They took a break and life's over. It's a different person back then that used to do that. And you hear that over and over with different things. That can't be us, right? That can't be something that we concede to or agree, resign our fate to being somebody who takes a break forever. The third group now, who are they? The third group that's split into two. Who are the first half? Who's the first half of the third group? The people who chase this worldly life. People who are all about that bag, right? That's it. No, they only sing and dance to one tune, which is materialism. Stuff, money, clothes, gold, silver. That's all they understand. That's what they live for, and that's what they'll die for. And then the other half are those who don't just indulge, because you can indulge in halal. You overindulge, but it's still halal, technically. Those are people who did not suffice with what's halal. They insisted on what's haram. And likewise, their judgment in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reflects that accordingly. So this story is the story that we're all in. We're all on the island right now. What time is it on the island? I don't mean like right now. You want to be honest and get a little grim with it? I'm 35 years old. Thank you. Absolutely unnecessary. If I had feelings, you'd hurt them. That's us time. That's us. It's the end of we're getting close to the end of the day. Everybody here who is between 12 and 20 is Dhuhr time. And again, it's like we're in the summer, Dhuhr comes down like, we're in the winter, Dhuhr comes down like 11:40, right? Asr is like 2:15. If you're between 10 and 20, then it's like 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. It's about to be Asr time. If you're between 25 to 40, that's Asr. 40 to 50, that's Maghrib. 60 onward is Isha. That's the reality of our lives. Meaning, a good chunk of us here are at 50% or close to it. Wake up. It's not a metaphor. It's not a joke. The people who put this story together didn't say, I want to put a nice story that will work well on the mic on some random Friday night 1,000 years from now. They said this is the human condition, and people who wake up to it will act accordingly. People who stay asleep, everybody wakes up on the Day of Judgment. But it's a very rude awakening. The last thing that I wanted to do before we call it a night, none of us here went sailing on an island or collected gems or had to do any of that, right? Please feel free. I was looking for somebody to surprise me. Thank you. And I was sure it was going to be you. For today's activity, what we want to do is let's make this metaphor hit home. I'm sure that there's pieces of it that resonate with a lot of us that we can think about it and resonate with and say, you know what? I can take a reminder from here. I can reflect from it. But it would hit so much more if it was more relevant to us. How can we do that? A couple of ways. We'll get into groups of people. What are we doing, Yusuf? Groups of what? There's a lot of people here. 6? It looks like you randomly said that, but 6 looks like a good number. 5? Let's do 5. Groups of 5. And you'll have just a couple of minutes because it'll take very long to do it with everybody. But I want to hear a couple of people change this metaphor, this story that Ibn Qudam and a bunch of other scholars have shared just as a metaphor, change it into something that is actually relevant and something that we can use. So the pieces that you want to use: the ship, the island, the captain, the king, the gems, the king's palace that's forbidden sanctuary. Use these metaphors, but change them. What can you make the ship besides it being a ship and a king summoning them to a journey? What could you make it? Think about it. Get creative. Groups of 5. Let's see if we could produce something that's impressive. Something that's worth me plagiarizing and using in another talk and passing off as my own. That's the real goal. But what I want you guys to do is use your creativity to try to bring this metaphor home. Maybe it'll be an airport. Maybe it'll be a school. Maybe it'll be, think about the setting, think about the different roles, and see what you come up with. Can we make groups of 5 very quickly? 4 or 5. Don't be too strict with the numbers. 4, 5, 6 is also fine. Probably don't want like 10. 4 groups of 4 or 5. Challenge yourself to sit with people you don't properly know. Don't just sit with your clique or your friend group. Can you group up here? 3s and 4s and 5s? Numbers is not super important. So you have the ship, which represents time, the island, which represents the dunya, the gems, which represent good deeds, the king's palace, which represents sins, the 3 groups of people, and that's it. You could use an airport, you could use a school. Get creative with it. You have 7 minutes. Okay, the question. Everybody listen up so you can understand. Can I have everyone's attention, please? Your task is to come up with a metaphor just like this one. Except you make it relevant to people in 2025. So the metaphor was what? A king summoning villagers to his court. They pass by an island and they collect gems, and they're only there for 24 hours. And what does each piece represent? We said the ship is time, the island is the dunya, the king is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the captain is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the gems are good deeds, and the king's palace is evil deeds. That's what all the metaphors were. You redo that in whatever way you see fit, make it interesting, use ChatGPT, I don't care. Just make it interesting, try to be creative, and let's see what you come up with. All right. What settings do we have? Can I hear a setting? I put this into ChatGPT, and it gave me a mall. Corny. I said these brothers and sisters definitely have better ideas. Over here, super eager. Saja, go ahead. Please. I don't have to imagine. Here, take the microphone. Here, come.
Oops, never mind, it doesn't go. Okay. Okay. The protest is the island. Stay with me. Okay. Okay. Let me rewind a bit then. There are Palestinians who basically need you to use your voice and to speak out and to boycott, essentially. Okay. There's someone who helps coordinate the protest and is telling people what to do, all that kind of stuff. At the protest, there are 4 groups of people. 3, one divided into 2. The first one, those who chant and have their intentions set with it, the ones who show up. And then after that, there are those who show up, but then halfway through they lose it, they get distracted with their friends, they start talking. And then the second ones would be the ones who honestly just stay back. They lay against the barricade, talk with the cops a little, you know, those types of people. And then the fourth would be the collaborators with the Zionists. That's my... I'm not saying it. Thank you. That's my deal.
I love it. I love how specific it is. I feel low-key targeted, but it's okay. Everybody... Actually, I'll get to this point at the end, but I like it. I like it a lot. Thank you. Thank you, Saja. And Social Justice Group. Go ahead, Sophie. You want to come up here, grab the mic, give us the breakdown? Please. Otherwise, it'll be you saying it, me repeating it. I don't get it right. It's weird for everybody.
So our metaphor was you go to a museum, the boss is like the tour guide, the boss is explaining what you can explore and what stuff you can't explore. Then the manager tells you you can go here, but you can't touch that radio. And then you're there. There's 4 types of you. Types of people who are in that museum. People who follow it, go everywhere, don't even go near it. People who go near it, peek at it a little, but don't like break the trust. Then the people who touch it, but then repent, they're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And then the people who touch it and like, oh, it's cool, I'm getting bored, I should like open the radio. And yeah, that's it.
Brothers, can we get 2 brothers to share? 2 brothers groups? These guys, you're pointing at each other. Rock, paper, scissors. You want to play games? You're mad serious? Okay. Sorry. Any brothers? Can I have 1 brothers group before we call it a night? Quickly. Come on, brothers. 1 metaphor. Let's go. Come do it. Believe in yourself. I believe in you. All right. Come. You're the man, Mohammad. Thank you for not letting me down. What? What did I say? I mean, don't listen to him.
I didn't even notice you said that. Alright. So our metaphor is similar to like a workplace, like a workplace, like such as your job. So let's say like you stop recording me. Alright. No, hey man. I see you. You're not slick. Anyway. Wait, what? Where's the camera? Alright. So when you're at your job, you're set like with what 8 hours, right? And you're set with tasks that you have to fulfill. And if you don't do your tasks, then you're not gonna get paid. Similar to what like in this life, like if you don't do what you're told in this life, you won't be rewarded. That's
okay. No, thank you. It's good. The camera's right there, by the way. So, depending on how detailed your metaphor was and how much you reflected, what was the point of this? The point of this was to realize something important. If you look at any category of action, you'll find that you can find this metaphor is present. You'll find it in work, you'll find it in school, you'll find it in competitions where there's a task, there's a person in charge, there's someone appointed to manage and oversee, there's a limited time frame, and then there's reward and punishment accordingly. And very often, the older you get, the more that this task or this opportunity is irreplaceable. It will not be repeated. So the point of this activity now is to see something which is, now if you're awake, if you reflect, if any of this is to matter, what we just did, then you'll see this metaphor everywhere. You'll feel that time pressure everywhere. You'll feel that need to be in the right group everywhere. That every task, every single event, people get differentiated into these groups. There's the go-getters, there's the people who are serious, there's the people who want to, in theory, but they don't have the determination. There's the people who are distracted by the enjoyments, and then there's the people who do exactly what you're not supposed to do. And then copy-paste in everything. You're going to find that in every single phase of your life, in every single type of environment. This is what people end up doing. And then overall, when they reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the Day of Judgment, they find what? You've been in this category your whole life, and this is the category that you're in now when you meet Him. So what category do you want to be in? What are the gems we should be collecting? In the limited time that I have, what should I be investing my time in, right? That's what I'm asking. What are gems? Hasanat? Anybody, any other takes? Someone might say, no, a gem is to have as many kids as possible. A gem is to have this home, is to have this certain luxury in my life. That is what I'm here to collect, to do. But other people realize, no, the gems are the things I'm going to take with me. It's good deeds. Give me some examples, specific. Sadaqah, specifically a sadaqah that keeps going, right? Whether it's a continuous charity in its different forms, knowledge or water or food or a teacher that you invest in. What else? Salah, Mercedes LDA 6694, LDA 6649. Salah, that's it. Salah and that's all we had. Salah and what was the first one? Sadaqah Jariyah. Anything else? Fasting. Anything else? Hajj. You should have a list, a long list of gems that you're on the lookout for. If it's one category, hasanat, you're not going to have a sharp eye. If it's one category, even salah, you won't have a sharp eye. The gems I'm looking out for are the 5 daily prayers, and the 12 sunnah the Prophet ﷺ emphasized, and then salatul witr, and then salatul duha. These are different salahs that are all gems. Now I'm collecting. That's what makes the first group the first group. Then when it comes to fasting, I have fasting Ramadan, I have Mondays and Thursdays, I have Arafah, I have the 10th of Muharram, I have the first 9 days of Dhul Hijjah, I have the white days of every month, I have the 6th of Shawwal, I have multiple gems to look out for fasting all year long. When it comes to sadaqah, I have my obligatory zakah, I have feeding people, I have sponsoring students of knowledge. When it comes to seeking knowledge now, knowledge about my prayer, how to recite Quran, people who have categories of gems are on the lookout and are always collecting. But there's some people who think gems are only collected in Ramadan. There's some people who think gems are only collected when you're in the masjid. So they only collect at those times. What are they doing in other times? According to the metaphor of the island, they're collecting shells. They're collecting crab legs. They're building huts that at the end of the journey, at the end of the 24 hours, they'll say, all of that is worthless. It's only the gems that we take with us. So it's important to know that not all gems are the same, and not all people who look for them are the same. And the last thing I'll share is, what is the king's harem? What's the king's palace? What's the red tape around? Jannah in the metaphor, so they're not allowed to break into Jannah. What did the metaphor represent? The king's harem, the king's palace on the island, the one place they're not allowed to go, are sins. Things that are haram in general. That's what the metaphor represents. So again, what is the king's harem? Do you look at it that way? Do you look at it as a palace, red tape all around it, I cannot come close, do not get tempted? Or do you look at it as optional? I could do this, but not that. This one's small, this one's not a big deal, but this one is. And you categorize that for yourself. This one I'll indulge in and I'll repent from later. And this one's a red line. No, if you do this, you're despicable. Where do we get that from? Where do we have the audacity to start categorizing it? I will indulge in this, I'll forgive that, I'll move on with this, but this one's not okay. All of it is in the king's palace. He said all of it is haram. Stay away from all of it. That's the only option that I have. I need to look at it as a doorless, windowless wall that I'm not allowed to get near. if we reflected over this metaphor and others like it, you'll find that all of a sudden obedience, purpose of life, your relationship with others, your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your relationship with His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they gain levels of depth now when you think about it. As opposed to just never ever thinking about it. Never considering it and just existing haphazardly until the time on the island runs out. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us go-getters when it comes to our faith. Make us people who never settle when it comes to the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to constantly keep us awake with the purpose of our lives and the reason for our existence. Jazakumullah khairan everyone. Inshallah we shall see you next week with another story bi'idhnillah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us all. So inshallah we're moving on. Brothers are here. Sisters are. Sisters, you have sweets and stuff outside. Enjoy the rest of your Friday evening. Brothers, you're in here.